Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching. Today, something very interesting, and I really do enjoy your guys' feedback, so I'm looking forward to hear what you guys have to say about the KelTec PR57. This is a gun that was released this year in 2025 from KelTec, made at their new Wyoming plant. I think it says so in here, Rock Springs, Wyoming. You can see the call out there. And this is a very interesting gun with a lot of stuff going on. So before I get into all the details, I'll take a look at what came with it in the box in case you are curious about that. It comes in a hard side KelTec box that warns you of all the terrible things that happen in California with all the cancer stuff. And you have your call outs on here of the KelTec 5.7 by 28. Inside, you actually get quite a bit that I wanted to highlight. I don't think this foam should have come in there. You get your owner's manual with all the instructions. It's actually a pretty good owner's manual with lots of good illustrations. You get what is, I didn't realize would come with it, an optics plate. I'm not sure what optics is cut for. Probably should have done the research before I did the video, but the optics plate will sit right on top there, so very cool. For a gun at this price point, would not have expected that. You get two quote-unquote speed loader clips. We'll talk about that as we get closer into the firearm. You get not one sticker, not two, three stickers, but 4 stickers. Take note of that, H&K. KelTec has you beat at the sticker game. So you also get some pretty informative cards here. That this is the NRA card, I'm guessing, NRA. Then you have a quick reference guide here about how to load the PR57. Tells you when it's full, all the things, and how to field strip it, which is a very interesting procedure. And there is the optics plate. So quite a bit that comes in this firearm that has an MSRP of 399 bananas. So there's a lot of value there, maybe if this is a reliable gun, and that's the one thing I don't know. I do have one of the KelTec. It is the Sub 2000. Mine was actually made or updated by M Carbo, so I'm not sure what all that changed, but it has been 100% reliable and very interesting. And KelTec does have a, I guess, history of a reputation for thinking outside the box, and this thing is way outside the box in a very good way. So what is it? It is a very small, thin, lightweight carry gun chambered in 5.7 by 28. Again, this is the first gun that KelTec made at the new Wyoming plant in Rock Springs, Wyoming. It not only shoots the 5.7 by 28 cartridge, which is a cartridge I like very much, it also has one of my favorite features that I have on all of my Grand Powers and my beloved Beretta PX4s, and that's a rotating barrel. Not sure you can see it here, but when you pull the fire back, the barrel rotates. Doesn't show up great on camera there. Very interesting design to help dissipate energy instead of tilting. It rotates the barrel, so very cool. The other very interesting thing, and probably more terrible than awesome, is the fact that it has a top loading clip system. There is no mag release on here because there is no mag. So very interesting design that you have to load 20 clips and 20 rounds into here. It holds 20 plus 1. You load them one by one or use those speed clips I showed you earlier. So very, very impressive capacity for a very thin, small gun. So having 20 rounds in there, but there is no mag release to speak of. So it does come with a slide release on this side, and that is the only thing on the firearm is the slide release. There's no safety, there's no anything else. So you have that. Again, so it's top loading, which is probably a drawback to most. However, if you can't do a quick reload if you're in a bad situation, but if you're in a bad situation where you need more than 20 rounds, you're probably in a bad spot no matter what. And very lightweight. This thing weighs 13.9 ounces, so it weighs almost nothing. And after shooting some 5.7 this year, I anticipate the recoil to be pretty minimal too, even though this is a very light firearm. Again, I mentioned it's pretty simple as well. There's no external controls other than the slide catch or slide release. You just pull the trigger and it should go bang. And it's fairly affordable. I mentioned it's just under, it's at $399 MSRP, and I have no idea what they sell for. I am neither selling any firearms or recommending you buy firearms. I'm just quoting the information that is on KelTec's website. So YouTube, please don't dock me for that. So again, just walking around the firearm, if you look at the specs of it, again, the capacity is 20 plus 1, which is pretty awesome for a gun this small. This thing is 7.2 inches long with the barrel that's 4 inches long. We'll look at that during disassembly, which is also very interesting. The width is crazy at 0.937. For all the micro compacts people have today, the 365, H&K CC9s, 1 inch or 0.99 inches is the standard. This is thinner than that. It's 5 inches tall, and the trigger, which we'll look at in a second, is about a 4.5 pound trigger. Now, just for reference, and this is more for me than you guys, there is a SIG 365. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see size-wise. KelTec is slightly longer, just barely taller, but this is revolutionary, being 1 inch wide and holding 12 rounds. This guy is thinner and holds a lot more rounds. For what that's worth. Again, this is SIG, this is KelTec. You decide what your thoughts are there. But again, as I've spent time with this gun, and I haven't shot it yet, I do have range footage I'll get recorded this weekend, and I will, if you would check back with me, I'd appreciate it. I'll get some range footage out there and see how this thing does perform. But we'll kind of just walk around and talk about all the pretty cool features that it has. There you can see the barrel up front design, which I think is for lockup as this thing rotates. And there's your 2 recoil springs and a very a very small circumference barrel there for the 5.7 round. Up top, you do have a 1 slot pick rail. If you want to add some weight up front like that with a camera or a light or a laser. Also, a very interesting slide design is round, so it looks more like a barrel or a cone. Again, very interesting design. It is functional. The serrations are good enough that you can rack it. Spring is pretty tight, you can see there. Also, you can see the barrel design there where the barrel locks up when you have it closed. Excuse me, interesting design up top. There's the optics cut I talked about. And you have, I think, a good sight picture. You know, standard 3-dot sight picture. I can't wait to shoot it to see how it does shoot. This is a striker fire gun, so we'll look at that as we take it apart. Again, mentioned a single slot pick rail. You even have texturing up front if you're one who likes to wrap your finger around the trigger guard. Trigger guard is decent size as well. And then you have these, the texturing on here is very interesting. It seems appropriate. It's a little bit maybe on the rough side. Pretty tall, if you can see the raises there. Definitely can feel the ridges in your hand when you hold it. But again, I'm assuming good grip for not a lot of recoil. Again, you have the KelTec call out here with the caliber and the model number, PR57. On this side, you can see again the KelTec name again with the Wyoming city of Rock Springs on there, their first big production gun out of there. Would show you the mag release, but there isn't one because it's all internal. Again, the rounds go in one at a time from the top, or you can use these clips to drop them in there. I'm not sure which I'm going to do yet. So very interesting gun all around. Lots of features, lots of really cool things. Love rotating barrels. I love the 5.7. I love how thin this is. A sight picture I think is good. So it's actually pretty exciting. One thing that I do think is not great is the trigger. I mentioned it has a 4.5 pound trigger, and you can see we are empty. The trigger is very interesting. You can watch the take up here. That's actually pretty good. Takes to right here. We got some creep. So hit a little wall there, and then you keep coming back, back again, and then it breaks. So let me do that one more time. A lot of movement there. So some take up, then you hit like a fake wall. You push past that. There's another wall. Not really. And you go to here, and it breaks. So definitely a very interesting trigger. The reset is actually what gets me more than anything else. The reset is very interesting. You have a false click here. So listen for the first click. There it was, just clicked. So if I go to that click and pull, nothing happens. No, it's not real. The real click is out here. At that point, now you're ready to fire again. So let me show you that one more time. Doggone it. I can't rack the slide properly. So again, I'm gonna go past the first click. There, that's not real. Come way out to here, way out to here, way out to here, way out to there. So you reset there, come back, hit a fake wall, and then it's actually a pretty clean break from that. But again, that double click is very confusing to me. Not there, but there is the reset, and it goes. So anxious to see how I shoot it. Don't know that the trigger is great, but again, is a fairly inexpensive gun with some very cool features. Takedown is incredibly easy on this thing. All you do is push the trigger forward and pull the slide off the top. So push the trigger forward, pull the slide off the top, and here you can see inside this very thin gun. That's where the rounds go in. And feed straight in, you have just a rail system here. Inside this, you have kind of double recoil spring system, as well as the little trunnion that this thing rotates in. You can see how it sets in there, and when the barrel moves, it will rotate around that. And then here is the super thin barrel, and with a close-up of how that rolls around. So I'm always fascinated how small the circumference is on these little 5.7 rounds. I need to put the trunnion back on first. Sorry, guys. Get this thing put back together the way it goes. So that goes to the rear. I'll try in a second and see. Those just fit right now like that. And then I think you just reassemble. Had a little trouble getting this back together earlier, first time I looked at it. Yep, there it goes. And to lock it back, get it back on there now. Sorry, it took a second. So then check for function, reset, and fire. So that is my look at this very, very interesting gun. Love to hear your thoughts. Is it garbage? Is it kind of cool? Is it something you're interested in? Let me know, and I will plan to get some range footage out there, and I may do some side-by-side comparison of how this thing shoots versus some other small firearms as well. So the KelTec PR57, super interesting, and I can't wait to spend a little bit more time with it. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching this far.